What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is the only sports podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino over there. And this is Braxton. But what do you say?
Yes.
No, you say happy 100 episodes.
Happy 100 episodes.
All right. Well, we practice it, and that was all for nothing. Thank you. Thank you, my son. I will give you a lollipop now, but can you go watch Peppa Pig? Thank you. What a great way to start episode 100, Casino. Went flawlessly, just like the rest of the other
phenomenal.
99 episodes.
Yes.
But
it reminded me a lot of all of the episodes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you a lollipop right now.
Lollipop.
Also, Casino, I got these for you as a token of my love for episode 100. Let me hand it to you.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Great. That was great.
I got something for you too.
More
skin.
That was Casino said what was missing from the last episode, and I said more skin. So that's why he's wearing this episode now.
I'm gonna zip it up a little bit. That went down my belly button. I didn't like that. That felt uncomfortable.
It's just going to be hard to do this episode being so turned on. So thank you for zipping it up.
As you can see, I'm still white.
And see, this is where our whiteness might match. Doesn't matter the lighting.
No, dude.
It's all white.
No.
All white. But today
it's funny, I have a pool. I should be sunbathing and all that stuff, but no, whatever.
Well, it has been cold recently. It's been like 40 degrees. But on today's episode, Casino, we are previewing the last week of regular season NFL. If you missed our episode yesterday, I attached the college football portion of yesterday's episode to the podcast. So the last podcast will have us breaking down last week's games and then us talking about college football just as one. It just seamlessly goes into just one episode. But
and you know what's coming almost next weekend after the regular season's over?
What?
The Willies and Casino's Ballroom are going to be back.
Oh man, I totally forgot about the Willies.
I have never forgot about the Willies.
Well, you know, it is award season. We got the
is.
Grammys coming up, the Oscars, the Willies, all the prestigious awards in sports and Hollywoods. The ESPYs obviously, I don't know when the ESPYs are. I don't think I've ever watched 1 second of an ESPYs award ceremony.
Oh, I have. The last time I watched a full ESPYs was the year after the ESPYs after the Super Bowl helmet catch, and Justin Timberlake did put gum on the helmet and video. I watched that entire ESPYs. Ever since then, it's just whatever's been on the TV, and it's always just massive speeches. That's it. There's no highlight reels or anything like that. All I see is just speeches. I'm like, I don't know. This is
no. I think I watched the one where Norm Macdonald hosted it, and he was just making fun of celebrities and sports, which is what I want from award shows. But stay tuned for the Willies Casino.
Norm Macdonald, man. So he was so sad. That was sad news. That was sad news.
That was a tough one to take.
He was one of the best comedians probably to ever walk the earth.
Uh-huh. I'm also drinking out of my Eagles cup today.
Cool.
Even though, spoiler alert, I will be picking against them.
You drinking
shit? Yeah, it tastes bad. It tasted really good at the beginning of the year, but now it's just gotten much, much worse.
The milk is soured.
Disappointment. All right, let's move in on this huge episode, Casino. But before we get to the Week 18 picks, you are 10 points ahead of me going into this last season.
Win.
I doubt.
I won the regular season. I'm going to win the regular season.
Yeah. Unless we have just every game different, which I might do, just to try to combat you. But when we talk about the games this week, we're also going to, I have it pulled up and mapped out all the playoff scenarios and what can happen based on specific games we're going to talk about.
I promised it.
Yeah. I know. So I knew I would bring this to the table. There is
I mean, you're showrunner A. I'm here, just happy to be here.
Oh, I did just have this picture pulled up that is it is crazy how much not only seeding but like just full on teams in the playoffs can be affected in this final week of the season, which is what you want, but to just encompass this football season, Casino, before we dive into the playoffs or the final week of the season, how would you describe just this season as a whole?
Oh man, it was exciting because of disappointment, I guess. Because
Yeah.
teams that underperformed made the rest of the teams and the rest of the NFL interesting, especially in the AFC. Um, so that was fun, and then plus a lot of injuries happened. Obviously, I hate when injuries happen, even if I don't like the player. Like, I Rodgers, I hate Rodgers as a person. But when he blew out his Achilles, I was like, that's, that kind of sucks. But but with the injuries, you also get you get the middle of the road, and everybody's middle of the road. It makes it much more interesting. So
yeah.
that's where I'd put that. I mean, disappointing, but for our entertainment. So it's
Correct.
exciting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree.
I don't know how to phrase that properly, but you get the gist.
There is also a scenario, Casino, going into this last week where I believe I picked every AFC playoff team correctly. If the Steelers,
The Bengals, though.
well, the Bengals can still. Oh no, they cannot.
Nope, you lose.
So yeah, the Bengals. See, that's where the injuries suck because obviously with Joe Burrow, I think in this AFC just mess that we have going into this final week, I think he would have been, able to at least get the 6 or 7 seed. I mean, but this was the graphic I was thinking of right here. This is from to everybody looking. This is from Sunday Night Football on NBC. This is all the chances for things to change in the final week. So basically, there's still 3 teams that can get the number 2 seed in the NFC. So the Cowboys, Eagles, Lions, based on who wins, who loses, can still get the 2nd seed. Those 3 teams also for the 3rd seed. 3 completely different teams for the 4th seed. Obviously, it's all the NFC South teams. And then the loser of the 2nd or 3rd seed between the Cowboys and Eagles will get the 5th seed. The 6th seed and 7th seed could either be the Packers, the Rams, and then the 7th seed in the NFC could be the Bucks, the Saints, the Seahawks, or the Vikings. Now, in the AFC, it's a little less muddy. Obviously, we have the crazy scenario where, which we briefly mentioned on last episode, where the Ravens are the clear number 1 seed. Ravens and 49ers are probably not going to play anybody this week because they don't need to. They're locked into that number 1 spot. But then for the number 2 seed, you either have the Dolphins or Bills. There is potential for, if the Bills lose, they go from going for the 2nd seed to out of the playoffs completely. And then so let's dive in to those playoff implications when we predict this week's games, Casino. We're just going to go right down the dockets. Are you ready, Casino?
I am ready. I've got it pulled up here now, too, so it's great.
There we go. Last week of the regular season, to what I would agree with everything you said, was a weird season where it didn't feel like until the past month that we really had like the Super Bowl favorite. And even then, I would say the Ravens are the Super Bowl favorite. And I would say the NFC kind of feels more wide open than I thought it would, because we've seen the 49ers now get blown out, like 3 times this season. So it's not like as if they're just these unbeatable juggernauts they appeared to be. But Yeah. And then obviously there's question marks with the Lions and the Eagles and Cowboys and blah, blah, blah. But let's start. No Thursday night game, no Monday night game this week, but we have 2 Saturday games, which again, the NFL scheduling and the NFL officiating this year has just been fucking abysmal. But let's start with a game that would have been much more interesting if it wasn't revealed that the Ravens are the number 1 seed and basically sitting everybody. So it is the 9-7 Pittsburgh Steelers going to the 13-3 Baltimore Ravens Saturday afternoon. Who you got in this one, Casino?
Still probably going to go Ravens.
Is that because Tyler Huntley is also a Pro Bowl quarterback for the Ravens and you trust him to light them up?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'm going Steelers. This is just one of those games where the Steelers will or should win this game, and it'll still be ugly, and they'll probably win by 3 points. And it'll be like, oh my God, this Steelers team only beat the Ravens team by 3 points, even though the Ravens had all their backups in. And then the Steelers will finish 10-7, probably get blown out in the first round, and then we just have to constantly talk about how Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. That's the narrative. The Ravens, this is interesting for the Ravens because they're going to sit out Lamar Jackson, which obviously they probably should. But then it becomes the question mark of they're going to have the first round bye. So if they come into the divisional round and they just shit the bed, then they're going to look back at this game and be like, should you be sitting Lamar Jackson for 2 weeks? Like the rest and blah, blah, blah. So this Ravens team really does feel like it's Super Bowl or nothing. And if Lamar Jackson shits the bed again, like the narrative's going to be real, real bad, Casino.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Keep going.
No, let's go on to a much more interesting Saturday night game, which is the 9-7 Houston Texans at the 9-7 Indianapolis Colts. Who you got in this one, Casino?
So I want the Texans to win because if the Texans win, I want to see CJ Stroud in the playoffs. I want to see what I think he deserves it. I think he earned it. And so they have to win. Not only do they have to win, but Jacksonville has to lose, if I'm reading that correct. Jacksonville has to lose plus a pit loss or tie.
Yeah, so the way the Texans get into the playoffs is they win the division and secure the number 4 seed if they win and the Jaguars lose. However, if they just win and the Jaguars win, they will then be the number 6 seed or the number 7 seed based on other teams winning or losing. So basically, Texans win and they're in the playoffs either as a 4, 6, or 7 seed. However, if they lose, there's no scenario where they end up in the playoffs. So they lose, they're eliminated. Right now, for the Colts, on the other hand, it becomes. Oh, I just had.
No, in my thing, Houston has to win.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah, if they lose, they're out regardless.
Yeah.
If they tie, they're still a thing. But I thought you said Houston. Sorry, I misheard you.
If they win and the Jaguars lose, they're number 4 seed. Yeah. If they win and the Jaguars also win, the Jaguars win the division.
Yeah. So I heard you different. My bad.
So the Colts also basically same scenario. The Colts, if they lose, they're eliminated. There's no option for the Colts to get in the playoffs if they lose. However, if they win,
same with Houston.
Yes, they have the same exact scenario as the Texans, where if they win,
Jacksonville.
Jaguar loses, they're the 4 seed. If they win and Jaguars win, then they're in the either 6 or 7 seed. So this game basically is a wrestling.
And we don't need to get into the ties because that would be very unlikely. Yeah. So
no, that's one of those. Yeah. But basically it's win and you're in the playoffs, and then it comes down to
this is going to be a great
seed.
game. Absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait for this one, dude. I'm so glad that they made this the Saturday night game.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is huge. It's for each team. It's win, get in.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that how bad Houston was last year. I mean, the Colts weren't great either, but like,
Yeah.
as bad as Houston was last year, dude, like it worked. Like they have a chance to make the playoffs a year after being at the very bottom, man. So it's very exciting.
Well, this is also the perfect perfect example of how important coaching and quarterback play is, right?
Oh, very much so.
You look at the Texans from last year, they could barely scrape together a good quarter, let alone like win a good game. And now all of a sudden they're one win away from potentially being the 4th seed in the playoffs. Like,
Wild.
that's fucking crazy. And then you look at
Wild.
the Colts side, and they have a backup quarterback after their rookie quarterback gets hurt. And then they have the offensive genius play caller from the Eagles and Shane Steichen, who appears to be a pretty damn good coach. And they're in the same boat as Houston, where both these franchises were supposed to be in rebuilding years. And now all of a sudden they're potentially 10-win, 4-seed teams in the playoffs. Like, that's fucking crazy. And you said you're picking the Texans, Casino?
I am. I'm picking them because I want CJ Stroud. I want it.
I also would like CJ Stroud, but I just think for some reason the Colts are going to win this game because I feel like so much hope and money is going to go on the Texans
I hate you.
that the Colts are going to win and be a far less interesting playoff team. But I am with you. I will be rooting for the Texans because I want to see CJ Stroud in the playoffs. And potentially, if they're playing – the Texans would be going, or the Browns would be coming into the Texan Stadium if they're the 4th seed. That would be, fantastic. Next up, now we jump to the Sunday games, Casino, and we have the 8-8 Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to the 2-14 Carolina Panthers. The last meeting earlier this season between these two teams, the Buccaneers won 21-18. In a pretty damn close game about a month ago, or exactly a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
So who you got in this one, Casino?
I'm going Bucks. I do not want the Saints in the playoffs. They don't entertain me. I want to see the Buccaneers in, and I want to see, because it's most likely how it's going to end up, because I do believe the Bucks are going to win this. I want to see the Bucks versus most likely going to be the Eagles. I think that's almost set in stone. I want to see if Baker could come in against a struggling defense for the Eagles and take them down. I'll be honest. I know you want it. I know you're ready to just roll over and die. I mean, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. I'd much rather lose to the Bucks than have to travel to either Dallas or 49ers and just get fucking annihilated.
Right.
I would much rather have that scenario.
There was a whole scenario I was listening to the radio that, like, we want for the games this week, like we want let me back out of here. We want Rams to win because we want the Niners to lose. A couple other games. The 2 other games have to happen. And then we get a really awesome NFC thing where it's currently sitting now. Like, where if the playoffs ended now, it would be San Francisco still gets the first round bye. Green Bay would be at Dallas, it is currently. LA would be playing at Detroit, so you got the quarterback swap thing, which would be really, really fun. And then Philly and Tampa. So I forget who has to win, who has to whatnot. I do know the Rams have to beat the Niners, and I'm not sure how the other things. I think Green Bay has to win, and then the Rams. No, yeah, something like that. But there was a whole thing, and it sounded great however we could keep the lineup as it is now, where all the things are, where San Francisco's the 1, Dallas is the 2, Detroit 3, Bucks 4, then you got Eagles 5, Rams 6, Packers 7. I think that would be an outstanding wild card in the NFC. And then there was a whole scenario for the AFC as well. But I would really, really like to see this NFC play out that way, because if it's this setup, I mean, hopefully, I don't know exactly what they were because I can't find anything saying who people would play if this happens, this happens, this happens, whatever.
Yeah.
But if it stays how it is, that would be so much fun to see Green Bay going into Dallas, because I could see Green Bay and Jordan Love, with how he's playing, beating Dallas as long as the refs don't help. And then, I mean, again, you got the Bucks with Baker doing really well on offense, going against the struggling Eagles defense. And then, of course, you would have probably my favorite of that thing would be the Rams in Detroit. I think that'd be cool. So,
yeah, I think everybody
continue.
wants to see. Well, I think everybody wants to see Rams, Lions, and then Ravens, Browns, right? Like those are the matchups where there's so much story boiled into those. But also, what's
Flacco going back in?
Yeah. What's a funnier scenario, Casino? The Cowboys shitting the bed against the Commanders this week to lose the number 2 seed and fall to the number 5 seed, or the Cowboys losing to the Packers in Dallas in the wild card round?
Dallas losing to the Packers.
I don't know. I think all the hype coming into this week, and then it's just like, oh, of course the Cowboys are going to beat the Commanders, and then the Commanders just blow them out, or
no,
just win
I get that
touchdown.
point. I get that point, but I think it would be great, because that would be hysterical. But I think it would be absolutely great, just to see at Dallas. Haven't lost to Dallas, and Dallas always struggling to get out of like the first game. I would just love it. I would love it, especially going against a quarterback that everybody, including us, because he watched this show, listen to this podcast, that Jordan Love coming back and just being like, hey, I'm actually really good. I am the quarterback of the future for this franchise. Just coming in there and just smacking that defense. That would be one of the funniest things. That would make my year. The Patriots being, third worst team, fourth worst team in the league. This would make my year if that happened. If Dallas lost, obviously in the first round, all in all, but if it was Green Bay with a quarterback who struggled for the first portion of this year, going in and just smoking them, that would be hysterical. That would bring a smile to my face.
I mean, I'm just hoping for one or the other. I don't care which one. But to get back to this game, Casino, well, the playoff situation's pretty simple for this one. Buccaneers lose, they're out of the playoffs. They win, they are the number 4 seed, and they win the NFC South. That's basically it, right? So win and they're in, lose and they're out. So kind of crazy that, the first 3 games we've talked about have all been win and you're in, lose and you're out. The first 3 games. It's fun.
That makes this last week really, really fun.
Now, next up, we have the 11-5 Cleveland Browns at the 8-8 Cincinnati Bengals. I believe the playoff scenarios for this one, and I will double check right now. The Browns are locked in.
Yeah, the Bengals are locked out. They are eliminated. Browns are in.
So Browns win, lose, draw, whatever. They're the number 5 seed regardless. Bengals, no matter what, are out. So this game has no implications for either team whatsoever. So who you picking on this one, Casino?
Go with the Browns skis, man. I like this Browns team. I've told you I've liked them all year. I want to see them be successful with this defense, and this could have been the Super Bowl team coming out of that conference if they still had Chubb. In my opinion, I truly think so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going Bengals just because I feel like they'll have all their.
You're down 10. You're trying to catch up. All right, that's fair.
So I'm going Bengals on that one. But yeah, this is probably will be one of the least interesting games just because the Browns will probably have all their backups in. Bengals will probably have all their starters in, and it'll still just be a whatever game. Next up, Casino, the 7-9 Minnesota Vikings traveling to the 11-5 Detroit Lions. The 11-5 Detroit Lions still potentially playing for the number 2 seed because there is a scenario where other teams lose, they win, and then they leapfrog both the Eagles and Cowboys. So
that would be awesome
for this one, Casino.
That would be so cool. And Minnesota can still get in. They have to have a whole thing. Like Minnesota, they get in if you have a Green Bay loss, a Seattle loss, and a Tampa loss. Or they have the same thing: Green Bay loss, Seattle loss, or a New Orleans loss because the Tampa and New Orleans have the same record. So they still have a chance. And the fact that the Lions are in, Minnesota scares me. However, I'm still going to go with the Lions because I think they're pissed from last week.
Yeah.
So I'm going Lions. And as you said, I don't see it here. I didn't know that
I got it. Yeah, I got it right
here. That the
here.
Lions could jump to 2. I don't see that here, but go for it.
So if the Lions win this game, they will be the number 2 seed if the Eagles and Cowboys both lose. Otherwise,
and that's funny that they don't have that on. I have 2 different things pulled up. I have the NFL and the CBS one pulled up, and neither one talk about this. I think it's because they don't expect the Eagles and the Cowboys both to lose.
Yeah, that is a long shot based on especially who the Eagles and Cowboys are both playing this week. But if the Eagles and Cowboys both lose, Detroit is the number 2 seed. If Detroit wins, Eagles and Cowboys lose, they're the 2 seed. If one of those teams wins, and basically if the Lions lose, if any other situation happens, they're locked into the 3 seed. So there's a slim chance they can get the 2 seed, but most likely they will be the 3 seed. And then when it comes to the Vikings, if they win, obviously all the things you said have to happen where a bunch of other teams have to lose. So if they win, they will have a 15% chance to make the playoffs. So weirder things have happened. It's not out of the question. Basically, they have to win this game and then just hope the cards fall as they may. So who are you picking in this one, Casino?
I'm picking Lions, even with Minnesota. I just don't trust with all their quarterback issues and all that jazz.
Yeah, I think I haven't read anything about it yet, but I think Detroit might just be like, there's no scenario where the other 2 teams lose. So why are we not just resting our guys, trying to get a little bit healthier before the playoffs start? Obviously, especially with taking away the first round bye, where now it's only the number 1 seed. I don't know if the number 2 seed is as important the last couple of years as it used to be, where that team would get the first round bye as well. So I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if they are sitting everybody. I have not seen anything, but I'm going with the Vikings just because why not? I feel like Detroit's just going to kind of punt on this game and be like, we're the number 3 seed. Let's get ready for next week. I'm also trying to catch Casino. So I'm going Vikings. Next up, Casino, a game that has no playoff implications whatsoever. It is the 6-10 New York Jets traveling to the 4-12 New England Patriots. Who you got, Casino?
I want Jets to win this so bad.
Is that who you're picking?
No, I'm picking the Patriots because Bill Belichick against the Jets is just dominant. It's so hard to go against that. And this is probably Belichick's last game as a Patriot. So I am going, and hopefully as well. I love Bill Belichick, but if you're not going to do anything with the offense, I'm done. Like, you do great defenses, but if you can't do anything with the offense, fuck off. Or put anybody into place to do something with the offense, and he still hasn't. So I'm going Patriots because I just don't trust the Jets against them. But yeah.
I mean, what would be a more?
I want the Jets to win.
Yeah, what would be
I want to help the seeding.
What would be a more poetic justice and a great end to a career than losing to the team you've literally owned your entire career in New England? It would be a perfect encapsulation of what.
Well, I mean, he would just be leaving just like Brady left when Brady's last throw as a Patriot was a pick 6 at the goal line.
Yeah. So I'm saying all things that are good and badly. I'm saying the Jets beat Bill Belichick in New England to send him on his merry way, probably to the Chargers. But then there's reports that Harbaugh is apparently talking to the Chargers and he's going to be the head coach of them after the national championship. So we'll see what happens with Bill Belichick. I'm going Jets Casino. It's weird how similar these two teams are built, where they both have the Patriots have a top 6 defense, Jets have top 5, and then they're both bottom 5 in all offensive stats.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just two teams with great defenses and no offense whatsoever. So you're picking the Patriots, I'm picking the Jets. Next up, let's talk about the 7-9 Atlanta Falcons, my wife's favorite team, going to the 8-8 New Orleans Saints. Who you got in this one, Casino?
Well, it's worked every time now with the reverse jinxie thing here. Well, I want the Saints to lose because I want the Bucks in. So, yes. I mean, I think the Bucks, right? If the Bucks win in by themselves, they're in, right? If the Bucks just win.
Well, but these games are going on at the exact same time, so it's not even like
they're
both at 10 a.m. So it doesn't. If the Bucks win, if they're in, no matter what these two teams do. If the Bucks lose, then for the Saints, it becomes if the Bucks lose, they need or what? If the Bucks lose and the Saints win, they win the division. Or the Saints also get in by both the Packers and Seahawks losing.
There it is.
And then they
so I'm going to pick the Saints because that means the Falcons will win. So I'm going to pick the Saints to win because it happened last week. It happened last week. It was a reverse on it. Of course it was. So for me, because I said I want the Bears to win, so go Falcons, and the Bears won. So there it is. Yes. So I'm going to do the same thing. Saints are going to win this, and the Falcons are going to flip it.
For the Falcons to get into the playoffs, they only have one way to get in, which is obviously same thing with most of these teams. They lose, they're eliminated. If they win, they would need the Panthers to beat the Bucks, and then they would be in. So basically, they need to beat their division rival and then have their other division rival lose, and then they would get into the playoffs as an 8-9 team, and they would be the 4th seed, which, as an Eagles fan, that's what I'm hoping for, because then we would play the 7 or the 8-9 Atlanta Falcons at home. So
I want to see Baker.
Or no, it'd be on the road. We'd play it in Atlanta, so maybe I don't want that. But next up, or in that game, Casino, you're picking the Saints. I'm picking the Falcons.
I'm picking the Saints because
every time you pick
I want the Falcons to win.
Yeah. I do think of those 3 teams, I think we both want Bucks first. I think Saints or I think Falcons I would want second, just in terms of entertainment value. I don't like what the Saints have been doing this year. Next up, Casino, the AFC South matchup, which is the 9-7 Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to the 5-11 Tennessee Titans. Now, as with most of the scenarios we've been talking about, a lot rides on this Jaguars game, which is basically Jaguars win and they're in. Right? They win, they clinch the number 4 seed, and they will be hosting the Browns in week 1 of the playoffs. Now, however, if the Jaguars lose, then chaos starts, because
this is what I want.
So this is like a full paragraph of scenarios that happens if the Jaguars lose. So if they lose, they get the number 7 seed. And then if the Ravens beat the Steelers and the Raiders beat the Broncos, they would then go to the number 2 seed. That would be the Dolphins or the Bills in the first round of the playoffs. So basically, they win, they're the 4 seed. They lose, they're the 7th seed. And then they would either go to the 2nd seed, or then they would go to the 2nd seed, which would be the Dolphins or the Bills. So...
Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on that, Casino? Who you got in this game?
Oh man. You go first. Sorry.
I am picking the Titans because I said 3 weeks ago I was out on the Jaguars and I would never pick them again. So out of spite, I am picking the Tennessee Titans.
There you go. Okay.
I also want chaos.
I'll go with you on that. Chaos sounds fun.
You want Titans?
Yeah.
All right. Casino's going Titans. Next up, we have another interesting playoff scenario. I didn't realize how many of these games really affected the playoffs. Like a lot of this depends on who wins and who loses. But the 8-8 Seattle Seahawks traveling to the 4-12 Arizona Cardinals, who just beat my beloved Eagles in a game I will try to have stricken from my memory. But for the Seattle Seahawks, same thing we've been talking about. They lose, they're eliminated. That's it. So, however, if they win, they will make the playoffs if the Bears win. Or no, they will make the playoffs if the Bears beat the Packers. However, they would be the number 7 seed visiting the number 2 seed, probably the Cowboys. So basically, it's either them or the Packers who get the number 7 playoff seed, right? So if the Bears beat the Packers, the Seahawks are in. But I know there's other scenarios where involving the Rams and other teams vying for that number 7 seed. But easiest way to decide that is they win, Packers lose, Seahawks are the 7 seed. So again, a scenario where basically win and then cross your fingers and hope other shit happens. So who you got in this one, Casino? The Seahawks or the Cardinals?
I'm going Seahawks. I don't know why I did it like that. Yeah, I know the Cardinals just beat, with Murray being back, just beat the Eagles. But I know I'm going to keep bringing it up. But I want Seattle in, but I don't want Seattle in. So does that mean we have to have the Cardinals win? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I am picking the Cardinals because I just saw the Cardinals beat the Eagles and they looked really good.
No, so see, even if Seattle wins, Seattle can win. That's fine because I don't think Green Bay is going to lose, and Green Bay is just going to get in. So
yeah,
don't matter.
So I am picking the Cardinals just because. I mean, the Eagles lost to both these teams, so obviously I hate both of them. But the Cardinals at least did it in dominating fashion. The Seahawks, I still don't know how they won that game, letting Drew Lock go 90 yards to win the game. But Cardinals, I'm picking to win. Next up, Casino, we move on to the game we were just talking about that has playoff implications for this Seahawks-Cardinals game, which is the Packers and Bears. We have the 7-9 Chicago Bears going to the 8-8 Green Bay Packers. Who you got for this one, Casino?
I want the Packers all day because as I was I couldn't figure out the AFC because as you were just alluding to, the AFC is just insane. So for the NFC to get that playoff picture that I would just describe how I want it, to earn the 7 seed, we need the Packers to win, the Rams to win, and the Cowboys to win. And then that's the Packers in Dallas. And I like that. I want that matchup because then that would pretty much solidify everything else where the Lions play the Rams and Eagles most likely will play the Bucks. So, I want the Packers to win. I want it all day. Go for it. All Packers all day.
So you're picking Packers.
I want to see Love with what he's done in this second half of the season. I want to see, and this is all has to be also with the Rams beating the Niners, who are sitting everybody. I know the Rams, since they're pretty much set at their spot that they're sitting some people as well. But I want the Packers to play Dallas in Dallas. I want Jordan Love to be in the playoffs with how hot he's been in the second half. And I want him to go light up this awesome defense from Dallas. I just want to see it happen.
All right. Now, the Packers is the most complicated playoff situation because there's a bunch of stuff that happens if they win or lose. So if they win, they will be the number 6 seed if the 49ers also beat the Rams. So win and the Packers are in as the 6th seed as long as the 49ers beat the Rams. If the Rams beat the 49ers, they are the 7th seed. So
so you could either have Green Bay in Detroit,
yes,
either Green Bay in Detroit, or Green Bay in Dallas, or you have the long shot of the Packers win, Rams win, Cowboys lost, Eagles win. You'll get Cowboys, or you'll get Packers versus Philly in Philly,
which is obviously what I'm hoping for.
That's the scenario. That's what I was trying to get to. That's the scenario you are looking for and you're hoping for. But
yes.
I know you want that Washington. I'm going to still pick Cowboys. I can't see Cowboys losing to Washington. So we'll get to that one. But yes, Packers all day want it to happen, want Love to go in and destroy.
So now if the Packers lose, this is where it gets extremely complicated. If they lose, it gives them a 1 in 4 chance of making the playoffs with a loss because they would then be eliminated if the Vikings beat the Lions or if the Seahawks beat the Cardinals. 2 scenarios, honestly, where I could see happening. Like, I mean, we just talked about Vikings and Lions really don't have anything to play for because it's doubtful that the Eagles and Cowboys will both lose. So Lions are basically locked in the 3rd position, and then Seahawks beating Cardinals. Seahawks are heavily favored in that game. So that's a scenario where also Bears haven't been looking too bad. This is really going to be the make or break game for Justin Fields to decide if Chicago wants to do another year with him or draft a new quarterback and all these scenarios. So again, I root for Chaos Casino and I'm trying to get 10 wins to tie you. So I'm going with the Bears. I'm picking the Bears Casino. Next up, a game that has almost no playoff implications because the Chiefs are locked into their playoff spot for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career that he will not have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, which is fucking crazy. That's a crazy stat.
Yeah.
But the 10-6 Kansas City Chiefs, with basically all their backups in, travel to the 5-11 Chargers with basically due to injury all their backups in. So this is a game. I don't know. I don't even know how to talk about this one, Casino, because it's all just going to be backups due to either injury or sitting. No Justin Herbert, no Patrick Mahomes. I doubt Kelsey. I saw something where Kelsey needs a couple yards for, I don't know if it's a record or incentive or something like that. So I doubt they'd start him, but maybe they have him in for a couple plays to try to get it. I don't know. But no Herbert, no Mahomes. Who you got in this one, Casino?
Chiefs. I'm still just gonna roll with Chiefs. The Chargers they set up shop. They or closed up shop is what I meant to say. They put everybody, they went bye. It's done. It's over. Even with backups and Chiefs, they actually might have a better chance, throwing the backups of those receivers. But yeah, I'm going Chargers, or I'm going Chiefs, regardless.
Yeah,
of everybody's
I'm going Chargers because it's a pick 'em. Who cares?
Yeah.
Next up, 8-8 Denver Broncos at the 7-9 our Las Vegas Raiders Casino. No Russ, still on the bench. Antonio Pierce trying to basically keep a job as the head coach of the Raiders. Right now is the interim head coach. Who you got in this one, Casino? The 8-8 Denver Broncos or the 7-9 Las Vegas Raiders?
I think I'm going to go with the Raiders. I think they want to continue off of this success that they had with the switch of the coaching. Russ is gone. Broncos are falling apart. Yeah, I'm going Raiders on this one.
This is our first legitimate one where I'm not just picking against you. I actually had the Broncos written down instead of the Raiders. But I think this is the Broncos game to win because this is basically Sean Payton's last chance to prove he's right about Russell Wilson. Right? So Russell Wilson, you look at him throughout the season, you look at his stats, they're night and day in terms of better compared to what they were last year. But then you talk to Broncos fans or you I like That's Good Sports on YouTube, and he's like a big Denver Broncos fan. He talks about how the numbers for Russ this season are not painting the picture of the quarterback he's been this season, which the quarterback he's been this season is bailing out of clean pockets, like improvising over Sean Payton's play calling and like not getting the ball to where it's supposed to go, right? Which is why Sean Payton benched him, because he's basically a quarterback that wasn't running the scheme. So the numbers might be, an allusion to the quarterback play he was actually playing. So all that being said, the Broncos had a choice to choose either between Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. Obviously, for money reasons, pretty much that's it. For money reasons, they went with Sean Payton. So now it's on Sean Payton's plate to prove why them picking him was the correct choice over a guy who, last I checked, has as many Super Bowls as Sean Payton and had a chance to get 2 if it wasn't for that 1-yard debacle of a play. So, yeah, I'm picking the Broncos just because I think there is a lot riding on this game for the Broncos. And I think with the Raiders, I don't even think if Antonio Pierce wins this game that he's locked into that coaching position, because we've seen this with the Raiders where they've had an interim head coach come in the last couple of years, just do fantastic. All the players love him. And then they fired him for John Gruden, or they fired him for Josh McDaniels. Like, this Raiders franchise and the Davis, Mark Davis or whatever, just wants, I think that's his name, Mark Davis, wants like a big splashy head coach name. He doesn't want a good coach. He wants a name that sells tickets. Does Antonio Pierce sell tickets? Probably not, compared to, if you can bring in Belichick, if you can bring in Harbaugh or some of these other big coaching names, why wouldn't this Raiders organization that done this in the past do the same thing they've done before, which is get rid of their coach that was winning for just a flash in the pan, like, headline, right? Not a flash in the pan coach, but a flash in the line, like, grab headlines with Raiders signed who? And then you boost ticket sales. It's short-term thinking, long-term issues, right? That's what the Raiders have been since our entire lives, right? The Raiders have not been good my entire life. Or they went to the Super Bowl in 2000, but that was it, right? So for the past 24 years, they've been a dumpster fire. Next up, Casino. My 11-5 Philadelphia Eagles going to 5-11 Giants. Who you got, Casino?
They're not going to lose to the Giants. I can't see them losing to the Giants.
I think the perfect end to this season would be them losing to the Giants. I'm going reverse jinx. I'm picking Giants to win this game. I'm already drinking disappointment.
Oh, that's good.
And Giants played them. Giants played them tough last time. Now it's going to be in New York. I did like. I don't know if you saw any of because obviously AJ Brown has been not talking to the media for the past 3 weeks, and there was a bunch of speculation of who's he mad at and like all this kind of stuff. So then finally this week he put out a tweet the night before where he was like, "I'm talking tomorrow," and then he did a almost 20-minute like just dissertation on how he feels about the team, all this kind of stuff to reporters in the locker room. And I'll tell you what, it is worth watching for that interview, because in an eloquent, just really matter-of-fact way, he just lays it all out, and it just kind of made me feel better about this team heading into the playoffs, because the players themselves, they basically didn't blame any of the coaches. And he said one of my favorite things, which I'm going to butcher. I wish I would have wrote it down word for word, but he was basically
you butcher a lot of things. So
yeah. But he said basically the effects of the coaches aren't on the field. So why are you mad at the coaches when on the field we're not doing anything? And it was kind of just like that player mentality where it was like, we're bad because the players are playing bad. Like, why are you guys trying to blame anybody else? And he put it on himself. And he also said he took like the team out to do like team building exercises and stuff. I don't know. It was just
did he take him to Disneyland? Like
no, actually it was again with this fucking phone. It was
that's fine. I got a baby that's about to cry.
No, they took him to an escape room. So an escape room, is it better than Disneyland? No. But will you bond more in an escape room than you will at Disneyland? Yes.
Or it could do the opposite. You guys can
just make everybody pissed at each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you the key was over here. Nobody listens to me. Yeah, just like on the field, man. Hey, man. Sorry.
So that
going. Hey, man.
Right. That being said, I'm going reverse jinx and picking the Giants over the Eagles. The Eagles need to win this game in a blowout going into the playoffs. If this is a close game, and God forbid if they actually lose, their season, I think it's already over, but their season they shouldn't even get on the plane to the playoff game and should just forfeit, because then it's officially over. So you're picking Eagles. I'm picking Giants for the reverse jinx. Next up, Casino, we have the 9-7 LA Rams at the 12-4 San Francisco 49ers, who have already locked up the number 1 seed. And I believe I was reading something where Matthew Stafford will not be starting this game. So
right. Yeah, that's what I said earlier. You know, the Niners are sitting everybody, and then the Rams are sitting some people as well.
Yeah. And the Rams, it's very simple. They win, they're the 6th seed, and they'll travel to Detroit to play the Lions, who are most likely the 3 seed. If they lose, they drop to the number 7 seed only if the Packers beat the Bears. So Bears beat Packers, or and Rams are 6 seed regardless. So I really think that 6 or 7 seed doesn't matter, right? Because no matter what scenario, you're still always on the road throughout the entire playoffs, unless you and the 7 seed meet up in the NFC Championship game, which the odds of that are slim. So,
well, that's what I was saying is I want the Rams to win, because I want the Packers and Dallas to play, and I want the Rams. And I don't care about the Eagles and Bucks, but I want the Rams and Lions to play, and I want the Packers and Dallas to play. So, the Rams need to win, and I want the Niners to lose. I want the Niners to lose. They're pretty much the key to all this. The Rams have to win, and Detroit wins and Dallas wins, and then you get that wonderful matchup of the Rams going to Detroit, which would be probably one of my favorite and most juiciest games of the entire season.
Yes.
Seeing that work out. That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, there's other ways as well that they can meet. But yeah, I'd rather go that route.
Yeah. So on the 49ers side, they're obviously going to be sitting McCaffrey. They're going to be sitting Brock Purdy. They're going to be sitting basically their whole defense. I'm assuming Debo and Kittle will also be sitting out, even though that's not confirmed.
Trent will be sitting out.
Yeah, they're going to be starting Sam Darnold. But on the Rams side, they're going to be starting Carson Wentz at quarterback for the Rams.
Your boy.
So prepare for one spectacular highlight of him doing the dumbest thing you've ever seen that leads to a pick six or an interception. I still think who you got in this one, Casino?
Well, I'm going Rams. I'm going Rams. Just because I don't care that you have Wentz in there. The Niners are so beat up. They are literally sitting every single starter they can possibly think of because they don't give two damn shits. They don't care.
Yep.
They don't care. It does have a lot of implications if the Rams win, but they don't care about how the rest of the playoffs ship out. They don't give a shit. They got the number 1 seed. They're done. They can rest. Same with the Ravens. They're done. So just rest everybody up and go from there. So I'm picking Rams.
I'm picking the 49ers. Not even this is also one of the games. This is one of the games where I had the Niners because first off, I don't trust Wentz as a quarterback. Second off, all we heard all off season was that Sam Darnold is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. So this should be an improvement, right? Sam Darnold's going to be replacing Brock Purdy.
You're picking them out of spite.
Yeah. Because Brock Purdy, I've seen him throw 3-4 touchdowns multiple times, and it's always just been said he's only a good quarterback because of everyone around him, and it's not Kyle Shanahan, it's Kyle Shanahan. So now Sam Darnold has no one around him, but it doesn't matter.
So that you just answered your own thing. So that same narrative is going to happen. So as soon as Sam Darnold goes in there and he struggles, it's going to be like, well, he didn't have. Blah blah blah. He didn't have blah blah.
But he doesn't need any of them because he's such a good quarterback.
I get your point, but that doesn't matter because they're still gonna say that shit because they're gonna be like, oh well, Purdy was bad when they weren't in. Well, Purdy had a freaking concussion for 3 weeks, and as soon as he got cleared from that, even though he was still playing, he turned it back on. And yes, he did have that blowout loss against the Ravens, 4 interceptions, no TDs, but that's the fucking Ravens. That's the Ravens. They're the juggernaut. They have almost a 60% chance to win the Super Bowl right now. Is what the odds are. That's insane. That's legit.
So I mean, so my point basically is what you just said, which is just Darnold should go out there and throw 3-4 touchdowns because he's so much better of a quarterback and blow out the Rams. That's what should
and then
happen.
People are going to say, and then when he does that, people are going to say, see, he's so much better than Purdy because he can do that without those weapons.
Yep.
And it's no bullshit. Brock Purdy's the best thing to enter San Fran outside of McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And Bosa. And
Bosa this season has been pretty quiet.
Yes, he doesn't have to be that great. But I'm being silly. Like, Purdy's good. Everybody else is good too. So anyway, all right. Stop.
We got 2 more games, Casino.
My son is about. He can't wait for my wife to get home so he can eat her instead of me.
There you go.
Yum yum yum. I like the boob. Nom, 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 nom.
Speaking of boobs, we have the 11-5 Dallas Cowboys traveling to the 4-12 Washington Commanders.
That's what he said. He said boobs.
We're both picking the Cowboys. I'm only picking the Cowboys for the reverse jinx. Yeah, I mean, Cowboys should win this game.
I want Cowboys to win because I want those scenarios to play out.
Yeah, Cowboys should win going away. The funniest thing that can happen is they lose on the road to the Commanders. Now, again, only way Cowboys can lose is this game is on the road. Cowboys are a much different team on the road. So, also, Commanders might just want to play spoiler. We have the rumors of Bieniemy might get a head coaching job. So, this is kind of his last audition to show what his offense can do. Ron Rivera, probably his last game as a Commanders head coach. Not really a lot riding on this for the Commanders. For Dallas, obviously, this is potentially the difference between the 2 seed and the 5 seed.
We need to
weirder things have happened.
My daughter's up now, and she's, I think, climbing her chest in her room.
Last game, most important game, Casino, of the weekend in terms of one team wins, they're basically the 2nd seed with the potential to, if they lose, they're out of the playoffs. 10-6 Buffalo Bills traveling to 11-5 Miami Dolphins. Who you got in this one, Casino?
So this was the one that I was thinking that plays out, but I want the Bills to win because I want to see them with their last chance. I forgot how the scenarios break down, but it wasn't as juicy as it wasn't as juicy as the NFC. But no, I'm saying like where all the wild card matchups were going to be entertaining. I don't remember how I was talking about that. Well, I broke that down in the NFC, figured that one out. I can't figure it out in the AFC. But
yeah, the AFC is too wide open.
It's too it was a whole like all this stuff has to happen. But I want to see the Bills succeed. And I know that it's not going to happen. It'd be cool if it did, but the Bills to win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl over the Ravens. I have so many Bills fans, so many friends who are from Buffalo. I don't know how that worked out, but I no joke. I have like 7 friends in town who were born in Buffalo and are diehard Buffalo fans. And
that's crazy because we live in Las Vegas for anybody.
Right. And hearing them talk about how much it would mean to them if Buffalo would win a Super Bowl, I could see them almost like crying.
Yeah.
As they're speaking to me. And I'm like, damn. Well, I mean, my team kicked your team's ass for years, so.
But so for the Buffalo Bills, they win this game. They'll be the division champs and clinch the number 2 seed, hosting obviously the number 7 seed in the wild card round. If they lose, however, they would be eliminated in the playoffs or eliminated from the playoffs if the Steelers and Jaguars both win. Now, this game happens Sunday night, so they will already know if the Steelers or Jaguars have won. Now, Steelers obviously play Saturday night. Jaguars play earlier Sunday. So the stakes will basically, and I'm reading this all from the New York Times, who has this whole thing.
Right.
So they will have the picture will be clear. However, a loss in the playoffs and either the Steelers or Jaguars losing would, how the team set up, either put the Bills as a 6 or 7 seed. So if the Bills lose, they're not out of it. They would just have to do that thing where they cross their fingers and hope either the Steelers or Jaguars don't both win and other shit happens. Now with the Dolphins, it's much less complicated. For the Dolphins, if I can find the Dolphins, sorry. The Dolphins, on the other hand, if they win the division and play the number 7 seed, which is funny because if they beat the Bills, they could potentially have to play the Bills again the very next week.
Yeah,
the exact same game would potentially happen 2 weeks in a row.
I don't want that. So I think that how the scenario was is there was something to where if Buffalo gets the 2, they play the 6, right? So however Houston has to get however it shakes.
No, they would play the 7. The 2 seed plays the 7 seed.
Okay, so however it would be to make Houston the 7 seed and the Bills get the 2, that's how I want to see it because I want to see Houston. That's right. Houston and CJ Stroud going up into Buffalo, which would be absolutely so joyous to watch. That would be a badass game.
Now, the other scenario is, like you just said, the other flip coin of that is if you're saying Buffalo wins and the Houston Texans go to Buffalo, the matchup would then be the Dolphins would be the 6th seed and they would go to Kansas City.
Right.
So Kansas City would be playing the Dolphins and you have the whole Tyreek Hill thing. So that would be, I think the scenario.
Yeah, and then the Cleveland, so that would leave the 4 and 5, and then that would be the Browns going to KC.
No, the Browns would go to the winner of the AFC South, most likely the Jaguars. So the first round matchups would look like if the Bills win, it would be Bills and then either Jaguars, Colts, Texans, or Steelers, based on how the playoffs fall, obviously. And then it would be the 3 and 6 seed, which if the Dolphins lose, they're going to be the 6th seed. So it would be Kansas City Dolphins. 4 and 5 seed would be winner of the AFC South and Browns. And then in the NFC, the 2nd seed, most likely Dallas, would have Green Bay traveling to Dallas. It'd be between Green Bay and the Rams, but the Rams look like they're punting and are basically going to get the 7th seed. Then it would be the winner of the NFC South. It's funny how the AFC South and NFC South are still up for grabs in the last week between 3 teams. But
and they're all shitty. And
yeah.
and yet 2 teams in each conference that are in the wild card will have better records. Yeah.
So
Phil Colby laughs too. He thought that was funny.
So and then in the NFC it'd be the 5th seed traveling to whoever wins the NFC South, most likely either the Cowboys or the Eagles, most likely the Eagles. And then the 6th seed would most likely be the Packers traveling to the 3 seed, which would most likely be the Lions. So again, the playoffs are kind of set for, I would say, over half the teams, especially in the AFC, where the number 1, the number 3, and the number 5 seed are all set in stone. And then the 2nd, 6th, and 7th seeds in both conferences are basically coming up to, as we just went through the playoff scenarios, like a lot of teams, all they have to do is win and they claim those spots. So crazy how week 18, I mean, let's say there's 10 games, 8 of them have playoff implications. Like, that's pretty damn good. And that is, who you picking, Casino? Bills or Dolphins?
Bills, Buffalo.
I am also picking the Bills just because I don't know if you've seen Tua's record against the Bills. In his career, he is 1-5. So he's beat the Bills once. And obviously we saw in this season earlier that the Bills absolutely wiped the floor with the Dolphins. So I really do feel like it's one of those things where the Bills just have the Dolphins number. Obviously, I would be rooting for the Dolphins because if the Bills lose, then it would just be chaos. But I like the Bills more than the Dolphins. So who knows? That has been all the playoff scenarios, Casino. Anything else you want to talk about, or can we get out of here?
We can get out of here. My wife just got home. Michaela's up. Colby is spitting up on me. I think this is the perfect time to call it a quits.
Well, it'll be a fun playoff scenario. And the last pick we made was Casino pick Washington. I picked Michigan to win in the national championship game. So we're also counting that.
Of course we are. Let me ask this. Do you want to count that in part of the regular season that you've already lost? Or do you want to make that fresh and new for the playoff picks? Like, that'll start off the playoff picks.
You know what?
That's on Monday, and everything ends this Sunday.
Let's see how this weekend goes, because I don't want to be one game back and then we lose this game and it doesn't. So I'll let you know on Sunday.
That's a long shot, but okay, we'll play it that way. Sure.
Thank you so much. Sure. So this has been the Only Sports Podcast, the last pick prediction of the regular season for the NFL. Then next week we will obviously be talking about wild card playoffs. So I'm Will. That's Casino over there. Two of our 4 children have made an appearance on this podcast. This has been episode number 100 of the Only Sports Podcast. Crazy.
100.
100.
I did that backwards. No, 1. Yeah, I did. 0. No. Yep. Got it.
This
Keeping that in.
Sports Podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino. Adios.